If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my Patreon. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Dan Phillips.
Chapter 42 to 47. Well, I want to get on good terms with the lizard men, so forming a united front would be good, but I don't want to talk to Gabble here. I guess I'll send Soai like planned and have him talk to the lizard men chief. What could go wrong? I'm joking. I am aware that this will lead to the lizardmen chief playing defense against the orc army, which will cause Gabble to stage a coup. I could prevent this, but honestly, I think it's a good personality growth opportunity for him. I mean, I want Gabble to serve under me, but... Looks at Gabble who somehow has sparkling effects. Yeah, I don't want this narcissistic version of him. I'll wait for him to mature first. Anyway, while I was thinking of such things, Gabble continued to make his speech about us serving him and it being such an honor. Well, after taking a closer look, he realized we weren't exactly pushovers and talked with his men in a huddle for a bit, wondering why there weren't any goblins. I'm wondering the same thing, man. I just gave them names and they turned out like this. Gabble, ****, I understand there are some among you who have tamed the dire wolf race to do your bidding. Whoever accomplished this task, I will gladly appoint you as one of my top advisors. Bring him here now. Cheyenne began unconsciously squeezing my body again in anger while Benimaru looks at me with a harmless smile. Benimaru, can I kill this guy? Going with the flow, I reply. Rimuru, sure, why, no. Phew, OG Rimuru did the same thing too. I was expecting this, but I still went with the flow. Gabble really has some mysterious power to piss people off unconsciously, huh? I don't feel angry, however, I just have this strange urge to kick him in the nuts. Mom, I know how you always felt towards me now, wipes tear. But still, this is getting dangerous. I think I need to end it here. I wanted to see Gabble with my own eyes in his current narcissistic state out of curiosity, but I'm quickly having enough. Rimuru, well, I don't know much about taming the wolves, it's more like working with them as comrades. I was the one who made them our allies if that's what you're asking. Gabble, a lowly slime did that. Don't joke with me, please. Spark. Mikoto is also getting pissed too. I'm a bit happy that she's feeling this way, it's showing that she cares for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not naive enough to think that she's already fallen for me. Mikoto is very protective of her friends, if she hears someone mocking them, then she won't just sit by. This just shows that she at least considers me as a friend. It's been half a month since she's been summoned, and honestly, making a friend in that period is some kind of new record. Go me. Gabble, if you say something like that, show me some proof. Oh, he's still talking. Whoops. But still, proof, huh? Rimuru, Ranga. Imma dip out here. Procrastination. Ranga jumps out from my shadow and lands right in front of the lizard men. All of them are shaking in their boots and backing away. Gabble's eyes shake in fear, but he surprisingly hasn't shown any other signs of fear or weakness besides that. I mean, Ranga is blasting them with coercion at point blank, and since Ranga is stronger than his canon counterpart, I wouldn't be surprised if Gabble just dropped onto his knees. It's quite surprising. Anyway, I tune out for the next bit since I know it's just Gabble dissing me some more while trying to convince Ranga to leave me and join him. It should be like, it's disappointing to know your master is a slime. It seems you are being deceived, or some similar cliché bullshit. Gabble, it's disappointing to know your master is a slime. It seems you are being deceived. Holy shit. Gabble, what he has done is unforgivable. Very well. I shall defeat him for you. After saying that while pointing at me all pompous, his men begin to cheer out his name while saying things like, Sir Gabble, you're so cool, and, show them what you're made of, Sir Gabble. In the end, Gabble started making poses, appealing to the crowd, they're not as good as Rigard's poses. And then, if memory serves me right, Ranga will almost tear him up before Gabuta will arrive, and... Fuck. Gabuta isn't here. Jeff bravely took his place, but he's still down the for count. Curses, does Cheyenne's cooking get worse proportional to her strength? Then isn't this my fault? Jarrrrrrrr. Shit, it's getting worse. Right, I should step in here. Rimuru, Spark. Mikoto, oi. Oh. The lizard men pause and look at Mikoto, who has her eyes covered by her hair. That's when you know shit's about to go down, even I don't dare to speak up now. Mikoto, I've been listening to you droning on and on like you're at the top of the world and it's getting annoying. More electricity sparks out from her as she gets more worked up. Ranga got an idea and intervenes before Mikoto fries Gabble. I don't think he intervened intentionally, I'm sure he would love to see some fried lizard right now, but this works out for me. Ranga, lizard, if you can defeat one of them, I will consider your offer. Ranga says while nodding his head in our direction. Gabble, I don't mind. Having a subordinate fight for you saves you from shame. Benimaru and Hakuru looked like they wanted to step up, but before they could. Cheyenne, I'll do it. Mikoto, no, I will. They both step up. Both of them are quite pissed off at this guy, their auras are exploding from them. Benimaru gulps before stepping down and Hakuru just hides his presence, both of them swearing to never get on their bad side. Mikoto and Cheyenne, however, look each other in the eye, before playing rock paper scissors again. So anticlimactic. Anyway, Mikoto won this time with paper. She turns around, locking on to Gabble who already has a spear in hand, and walks up to him. I should say something here. Rimuru, Mikoto. Mikoto turns around to look at me with a curious face. Rimuru, don't kill him. Mikoto's eyes widen a bit before her face breaks out in a smile. She turns around while waving over her shoulder saying that she heard me. Ranga, then, are you both ready? Begin. Awoo. Ranga howls to begin the match. Insert fight scene here. I'm joking. Gabble begins by shit-talking for a bit. Gabble, we lizard men are descendants of dragons, there is no way I would lose to a human. But... Thum. A huge lightning strike falls from the sky right on Gabble's head. Okay, I wasn't joking. Ah. Lancer died. A/N, you aren't human. Spark. The electric spark from Mikoto attracts our attention, telling us that it was Mikoto who was the cause of that lightning strike. Mikoto, ha. That felt good. Mikoto looks to the sky and wipes her forehead with her arm while making a sigh of satisfaction like she just finished a huge job. Gabble is currently cooked black and on the floor, spasming while still having electricity running through his body. Would he resist electricity, from this? Mikoto ended up skipping her way back to us before the lizard men grab Gabble, while getting shocked from static, and running away while screaming, "We'll remember this." Not that we cared. As I watch the unconscious Gabble and his men make a hasty retreat, I think to myself. I wanted to knock him out. Like, that was probably the closest chance I would get to knocking out an arrogant young master type as I would ever get. I mean, there are a few more arrogant bad guys that I can remember, but they all have some sort of power to back them up. So I have to at least use some semblance of effort to face slap them, and it's just not the same. I wanted to feel what those cliché cultivation protags always felt. And Misaka. Is Mikoto the protag? Cough. Anyway, I asked Rigard to gather everyone to have a meeting about these orcs. He quickly left to do as I asked, and a few hours later, everyone is gathered inside the building designated for meetings and the like. Once everyone was ready, I asked Soai to give us a report on everything that happened. Soai began with the nearby goblin villages. A few of them didn't want to join us and decided to remain independent. Once the orcs started moving, Gabble went around to these villages and began to recruit them under him. Of course, there were still some goblin groups that didn't want to be recruited under him and decided to flee, mostly into human territory. It's an idiotic decision since humans are very territorial, but it's not like they had much of a choice. Either run and gamble your survival or fight directly against the orc army. Even so, I believe running isn't the smart decision. No, wait, unless those goblins realized Gabble is a lost cause? Then they might be the smart ones. And finally, Soai began talking about the orc army itself. Soai, I was mistaken. The orc forces number approximately 200,000. Now that got everyone shaken up. Benimaru, so the force that attacked our home was merely a small fraction. Rimuru, do you know where they're going? Soai, yes, they're moving up the river and should meet back with the separate force that attacked our village at the marshlands. Rigard, in the lizardman's territory? Soai just nods. Well, I knew all of this beforehand. But it's not like I can just say, yo, I know the future and this is what's gonna happen lol, and just continue on like normal. Hold on, I might be able to. I mean, my subordinates see me as some kind of god anyway, so they would just be like, Sasuga Rimuru-sama, and stuff like that. I could just make some kind of bullshit up for Mikoto. Nah, I don't wanna bother. I'll just act as some kind of wise king that can foresee any kind of trouble ahead and miraculously avoid it. Hee hee hee, and then I can sneak into the women's hot spring while saying, I sense great impurities, I'll have to cleanse everyone here hoo hoo hoo, while using my slime tentacle thingies to their full potential. Spark. Oop, back to the meeting. Looking at the map I made of the entire forest, because maps are rare stuff in this era, they realized that after the marshlands, there's a great chance that they would then head into human territory. Because of this, everyone is discussing what exactly is the orc's goal. Rimuru, well, I guess it's time to say this. Riggered Rimuru-sama. Rimuru, well, I felt a rather powerful presence, so I looked into it. It turns out that the orcs are being led by an orc lord. This set off a wave of murmurs throughout the room. Mikoto, who is sitting beside me, leans towards me and whispers. Mikoto, hey, what's an orc lord? I reply through thought communication. Rimuru, a powerful orc, one born every few centuries. A unique monster. They have special leadership skills and each one brings chaos across the world. I talked to her about the orc lord through thought communication, while Mikoto is slightly embarrassed and fidgeting at having forgotten the thought communication skill. So cute. Riggered, so their goal is to absorb all of the monster races and gain their powers. Kaijin, Rimuru-sama, it's not like we're doubting you, but... Are you sure it's an orc lord? Kaijin speaks up and everyone quietens down. In return, I just look back to Soai. Rimuru, did you find any? Soai just shakes his head with a sad expression. Mikoto, find any, what? Mikoto hesitantly asks what's on everyone's mind, getting a bad feeling. Benimaru, corpses. Rimuru, orc lords have a unique skill called starved. This skill afflicts their allies with a severe hunger that never passes. Anything the orcs eat will be transferred over to the caster, physical attributes, powers and even skills. And it's because of this severe hunger, they're even willing to eat the bodies of the fallen, both allies and enemies. Mikoto's face pales. If she didn't already see records of the deaths of some of the sisters back in her old world, she might have puked already. I just hold her hand under the table while looking worriedly at her. Feeling me grabbing her hand, she looks over to me, noticing my worry. She takes a couple of breaths, regaining some of the colors on her face, and nods at me with a small smile. Soai. Rimuru, Soai. What's up? Soai, one of my body doubles scouting the area have made contact with someone, they request an audience with you, Rimuru-sama. Rimuru, it doesn't happen to be a dryad, is it? Soai, no, it is. Soai looks at me with a surprised expression, before morphing into a face of, as expected of Rimuru-sama, along with the other monsters in the room. The edges of my lips twitch a bit. Rimuru, well, call her here then. After saying that, the center of the table glows brightly in a shade of green as a plant begins to grow on the table. It continues to grow and change shape before bursting open, revealing a stunning woman with green hair and marks next to her eyes. She also happens to be wearing a dress of white and light green. Vines also hover around her, attached to her. Where the fuck do those vines come from? And also, why is she standing on the damn table? You almost tipped over the plate of meat buns next to your foot, you know that. Well, she immediately dropped and grabbed a meat bun before standing up straight again, acting majestic as she nibbles on the meat bun. I guess I can forgive her, but... Rimuru, your image was ruined the moment you bent to grab that bun, you know. Trainee freezes, coughs, hides the meat bun in her sleeves for later and continues to act like nothing happened. Trainee, I apologize for the unannounced visit. My name is Trainee, a dryad. It's a pleasure to meet you. Rimuru, Well, I'm Rimuru. Nice to meet you too. Trainee smiles at me. Trainee, I have a request. Here it comes. Trainee, I would like you to make more meat buns for me. What? Trainee, sorry, not that. Ahem, I would like you to defeat the Orc Lord. Oh. Trainee, I would like you to defeat the Orc Lord. Trainee is looking all noble and untouchable with her lofty actions yet not annoying, unlike a certain lizard man. Motes of green light float around her doing nothing but adding to her calming aura, but I just can't get that image of her nibbling on a meat bun out of my head. Benimaru, that's quite a selfish request from someone who just came out of nowhere, Miss Trainee the Dryad. Benimaru protectively steps in front of me and begins questioning Trainee. Benimaru, why have you come here? There are races far stronger than goblins. Trainee just smiles and I suddenly get the feeling that I shouldn't miss what's going to happen next. Trainee, that is true. Well, if the ogre's homeland had been at their full strength, I might have gone there. Whoa. Whoa. Trainee, you savage woman. Calm the fuck down. Whoa. Families have died there, you know. The dead were eaten by orcs. Holy shit. Trainee, well, even if that were the case, I could not have ignored the presence of this one here. She concludes by looking right at me. If I remember correctly, the Dryads have an information network throughout the whole forest. I guess finding out that I'm pretty strong is child's play for them. Well, not like they can find how exactly how strong I am though. Why? Ha 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 ha. I don't know how strong I am exactly either. Anyway, moving on. Trainee joined the meeting at my request as she continued to explain the situation from her point of view. She is now sitting at a seat between Rigard and Kaijin, nibbling on the meat bun she hid in her sleeve. Trainee, the Traians cannot move from location to location, they are rooted in a single spot. Us Dryads are also only allowed to interact with the outside world in our spiritual bodies as I am doing right now. If our rather secluded community were to be attacked by the Orc Lord itself, I fear we would not be able to put up a satisfactory defense. Rimuru, but even so, if those orcs are still in the forest, you could work together with the other Dryads and overwhelm the orcs, can you not? I don't expect the Dryads to take on the whole orc army, but they should be able to catch out the Orc Lord and deal with the source directly, especially if it's still in the forest. Trainee just gives me a wry smile. Trainee, unfortunately we have also detected a rather high-level Magen in the forest, pulling the strings behind the scenes. That Magen should also be an officer for a demon lord, so if we focused on the Ord Lord. Mikoto, you could be sideswiped by the Magen, huh? Oh, Mikoto is easily keeping up, huh? Anyway, this means they can't show their hand until they take care of the Magen, which is why we need to be the ones to make the first move. But that Magen, it should be Gelato or something. I forgot his name. Gelmud. Oh yes, that should be it. The dude got killed so quickly in the series. And the demon lord working behind him should be Clayman. That's his name, yeah. And he's also working with another secret organization to supply those orcs with full fucking body armor. Their goal is to cause chaos in the west. And behind that secret organization is Yuki Kagurazaka, who also happens to be manipulating Clayman. Jesus Christ, so much secret shit going on. How did the author even keep track of this all? Let me guess, Dio is manipulating Yuki? WRYYYY. Shiver. Yeah, let's not poke that nest. Trainee, honored Rimuru, I would like to ask you once more to defeat the Orc Lord. Trainee stands up and asks me again. I close my eyes and think for a moment. Having both the lizard men and Dryads in my debt would be a good idea too. Rimuru, Daga Kodawaru. Trainee, Why? Trainee seems extremely confused. Everyone else is also confused too. Rimuru, one of the things I like best is saying no to those who think they have an absolute advantage. Menacing characters appear out of nowhere, my facial features sharpen as the shading around me becomes more pronounced. Right now, I am God. Mikoto, if those orcs eat everything they come across, wouldn't they also eat all the meat buns too? Ahem. Rimuru, I'm joking. Let's talk strategy now. Meanwhile, everyone just looks at me with a deadpan expression as I make a teehee pero expression. A/N, MC was gonna accept no matter what, I just added this in for no reason lol. Rimuru, right, I want to ally with the lizard men and fight in their home grounds, the marshlands. We'll take all of the orcs out in one fell swoop once the main force and the separate detachment rejoin back together. So I can quickly travel to the marshlands and speak directly to the lizard men chief if you wish. Rimuru, then, can I count on you for that? So I understood. So I bows and disappears after that. I turn back to look at the map when I hear a mutter from next to me. Mikoto, doesn't it seem like those lizard men could get hit from behind pretty easily with how they're spread out? Mikoto, are you a fucking genius? What am I talking about? Of course she is. My map is highly detailed, showing even the general layout of the armies of both the orcs and lizard men. Mikoto, looking at how the lizard men place their troops, comments on a worry she has. Mikoto, sorry, it's just a random thought that came to mind. I'm kind of new to this stuff, so. Hakuru, no, you might have a point. Benimaru, Their lines are reduced thin, and although the orcs won't be able to circle around, if someone could get to their back line, they could catch the lizard men off guard and easily topple the whole thing. But why? The goblins would have no reason to do this. He has a point, the lizardmen placed their troops in a way that makes heavy use of the lizardmen's natural affinity with the marshlands. But this also makes them vulnerable from the rear. The goblins, who are placed there, have neither the intelligence nor the need to betray the lizardmen. But Rimuru, don't you think that this Gabble fellow seems to style himself as a leader a bit too much? He might get a little cocky, and Benimaru nods at my answer, seemingly satisfied. Mikoto looks over at me and I just smile at her. She just smiles back at me, feeling warm that I defended her hypothesis. Rimuru, you got all that, yes, Rimuru-sama. I will talk to the lizard men about an alliance while warning them about an attack from behind. So I was still listening in on this meeting through me with Thogut communication. This is so he won't miss out on anything. Rimuru, good. Give me an update when you're done. After saying that, I cut the connection. Trainee is incredibly happy with what she heard during the meeting. She turns to me with a smile on her face and thanks me for what I'm doing. Trainee, thank you, Sir Rimuru. I'm sure with this, everything should work out fine. Cheyenne, of course. Rimuru-sama can easily take care of those pesky orcs. Cheyenne hugs me from the side and replies to Trainee in my place. I just smile at her antics. I know Trainee is actually quite worried about everything, despite how she carried herself. With Veldora's disappearance, she, or rather, the Dryads need a new protector of the forest. And right now, I'm in the top spot on the list for candidates. This should be interesting. I think such things while Mikoto and Shuna are trying to pry Cheyenne off me. I want a weapon. Like, the main weapon, something that identifies me. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make myself one. Yeah, that's right, it's time to do something I procrastinated for. It's time to change. It's a new me. And I'll change for the better. Later. For now, my weapon. Right now, I'm alone at the experimental site. It's been a day since the meeting I had with everyone in which Trainee joined halfway. Mikoto is wandering around the village like usual, helping around and socializing with everyone. The Kijin and Goblin riders are preparing to set off with me to fight against the orcs, while the High Ogres and the rest of the goblins are setting things up for a defensive battle. Although I won't lose against the orcs, I'm just a single man. Not now, but if something happens when I'm not here, I don't want them to rely on me. I can't make clones of myself. No wait, yes I can. Anyway, Shizu is being a cat and fucking off somewhere, probably scratching furniture and some shit. I asked why she did that since she's incredibly smart and should know better. Do you know what she said? Shizu, the voices, they tell me to do stuff. She said that while looking at me with soulless eyes. Yeah, I ain't fucking with that. Scratch the hell outta any couch or curtain you want. Anyway, I digress. Weapon. I want one. First things first, what kind of weapon? Swords, spears and bows come to mind first. Other weapons like staffs, hammers, axes, even guns come to mind immediately after. Of course, being the weeb I am, I have to get a weeb sword. A katana. It's part of the set, along with a fedora, a higo hoodie, a body pillow with your waifu on it and a satchel bag holding the entire JoJo manga collection. Of course, you can also get the Meat Bun Deluxe set. Right, I'm digressing again. Sword. Katana. Now, the question is what kind of katana should I make? Should I get a ripoff from some kind of anime, or make an original one? I guess I'll make one that looks like one I saw from a series but works differently. So both. Both is good. Rune Master. Creation. I want a katana. One that is masterfully created but isn't flashy and plated entirely in fucking gold. I want it to be tough as hell, if not indestructible. I also want it to be highly receptive to magicules and can conduct that shit like the knife I stuck in the toaster when I was 3. I want this weapon to be with me for life. This is my genuine hope. The materials I use to make the weapon isn't some random dirt from the ground. I personally feel it would be disrespectful to my future partner to make it out of dirt from the floor. And so, I made it out of the best material I could find. I used the meat bun I left in the sealed cave all that time ago. Flash. What appears in my hand after that is, a katana. A/N, no fucking way. The scabbard is pitch black with a silver gold decoration pattern at the end. The cord connected to the scabbard is a yellow color, but not eye-catching. The handle is black with a white wrap, tied uniquely unlike any traditional katana wrap. The guard is black with gold highlights. Note to self, remember to post a pic of the weapon, you damn monkey. Don't worry, I got you pic here. Oh, and there's an engraving of a meat bun on the scabbard too. Honestly, this fits my hopes so well. It's gorgeous, but it's not something that would blind you after accidentally reflecting the light from the sun. I hold it out in front of me and grasp the handle with my right hand. It fits well. Hakuru always told me that a weapon made for you will always fit snugly in your hand. Every weapon I made never quite fit, so I never exactly knew what Hakuru was trying to say. I even asked Kurobi for some advice, but I never got a straight answer. But now I understand. I guess the difference is the effort I put into making the weapon. Kurobi always made each of his weapons with intense care and effort, so all of his weapons fit. Unfortunately, they weren't something I could use, quality-wise. The moment I would try to exert my full force on it, they would all snap. Any weapon I made could easily handle my full force, but in the end, they never fit quite like Kurobi's weapons did. So I didn't think it would be right to accept them as my main weapons. But this, what I just made now. I wouldn't say I put any effort into making it. But instead, the emotions I had while making it were something else. It was an earnest wish to have whatever came out as a partner I would be with for life. And the result, well, I'm more than satisfied. I pull on the handle and the blade slides smoothly out from the scabbard, like rubbing silk against each other. It hums as it brushes against the air for the first time. The blade looks like any normal metal you could find, however, the runes imprinted onto the blade are anything but normal. Along the spine of the blade are small runes, each of them weaving together to form something no unlike art. These runes were given to me through Rune Master, and imprinted onto the blade during the creation process. These runes have several functions. There are the basic Minecraft enchantments, like sharpness, unbreaking, and mending. Mending is a bit different, simply needing magicules, but you get the idea. Well, I'm not sure if unbreaking is even needed, since I'm not sure if it can even break, but meh. Mending also cleans and maintains it for me. The rest of the runes have many different effects, mostly to allow the blade to affect and bypass space. There is also a rune sequence that absorbs and holds magicules within the blade, boosting its growth and evolution process. I wouldn't be surprised if it turned into a legendary weapon in a week and a mythical weapon in a year. Maybe less. More than satisfied with it, I open my mouth and whisper a name. Rimuru Wayemit. Beep. We are having difficulties, please stand by. Rimuru Yamato. The name of a weapon from a game in my old world. Although it's not exactly the same weapon, it just felt right. They look the same too. The blade glows softly and the feeling of the sword itself changes as I feel my magicules flowing into the sword. If I had to explain, it feels like the blade is no longer a part of the world, like it's no longer in this plane of reality. I can see it, but I can't feel it. With my senses, that is. But I can still feel it both physically in my hand and even emotionally. It's fucking trippy. The blade hums again, but this time, it sounds a little happy. Rimuru, oh, gee, I wonder what this can do. I speak out loud with a deadpan tone of voice. Then, I swing Yamato at the ground while channeling my magicules into it. A thin flash of light leaves the blade and travels forward into the horizon and also disappearing into the ground. And then, nothing happened. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to absolutely devastate the area in front of me. I even tried to raise a flag by speaking out loud. You know, like, maybe it would create a deep gash in the ground continuing on for several kilometers. No. Damn, is this weapon so strong that it became useless? That doesn't even make sense. Report. The attack you just executed is a ranged attack, shooting off a blade of magicules. Due to the enchantments that let the blade affect space, the space in front of you itself was also cut. Furthermore, your attack was able to reach approximately 30 kilometers underground and several hundred kilometers in front of you. I call bullshit. Why did nothing happen then? Notice. Your attack was so thin, space mended and the ground fused back together under gravity. Pardon me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that mean that there are no visual effects? Damn. My style points. Please note that using more magicules will increase its effect and you will be able to attain those style points you so wish for. I can feel the sarcasm, Raphael. Yeah, screw you too. I'm joking, I love you. Anyway, this baby looks like Yamato from Devil May Cry. It can also affect space, so it makes sense to name this baby Yamato. But although I say that, this baby has the potential to go even beyond that. Even now, it's growing quickly. If only I could imbue Mikoto's limit breaker unique skill into this bad boy. Hold on. Time skipu. Okay, limit breaker, copied and imbued into the sword, check. Heavens feel, OP. Raphael? Notice. Unique weapon Yamato will evolve into a legendary weapon within 3 hours. Furthermore, estimations for the time left until evolution into mythical weapon are around several weeks. Further evolutions are unknown. Mikoto, I always have and will love you. Now I have a piece of you with me at all time. Yay! Should I give her my fingernails or something? For legal reasons, this is a joke. No, seriously. I don't even have nails. And that's just gross. Please believe me. Soai, Rimuru-sama. Is that Soai? Rimuru, what's up? I reply to his, Thogot communication, with my own. Soai, I've completed talks with the Lizard Man Chief. I am on my way back now. Rimuru, good. How'd it go? Soai, it went well. Soai then continued his report by explaining what exactly happened. Soai didn't need a whole day to reach the Lizard Men territory, he could reach there in under an hour. However, as cautious as he is, he first took his time finding out as much as he could about the situation. Their numbers, any escape routes he could use in case negotiations broke down, estimated strength of the Lizard Men, and so on. Only after he was satisfied did he finally head into Lizard Men territory, straight for the Lizard Man Chief. Well, his replication clone did, at least. After warning them of his approach by not containing his aura, he was able to meet with the Lizard Man Chief very soon without interruptions, by walking through the front door. Man, what a fucking mad lad. First off, Soai stated his name and that his master, that's me, wanted an alliance with them. The Lizard Man Chief, after thanking the heavens above that Soai wasn't hostile, asked him a question about what exactly is the cause of the orcs' movements. To which Soai proudly stated that I, his master, received a direct request to deal with an orc lord that is leading the orcs. Once Soai dropped the D-bomb, by that, I mean the dryad name, the Lizard Men guards and advisors also in the room were pretty shaken. Soai, however, the Lizard Man Chief hid his surprise quite well. He is quite well suited to be a leader. Of course, still nowhere near you, master. Thank you for the random compliment. Anyway, the surrounding lizard men denied such a thing and didn't believe Soai, but the chief calmed them down and stated his interest in the alliance with me. It might just be me, but I think Soai purposely didn't mention something to me. Now that I think about it, Soai did threaten a lizard man guard in the series. I'll ask him later. A/N, LMAO no you won't, you forgetful slime. Anyway, they settle on joining up with me in 7 days, and that the lizard men should play defensive until then. Soai then gave the lizard men some obligatory meat buns necessary for any emissary and prepared to leave. A/N, thank you Anaya_Iantaram for the idea. But while Soai was leaving, like the badass he is, he also dropped the attack from behind warning before dispersing his clone, making it seem like he disappeared on the spot. I wanted to do something like that. Soai, and that's what happened. Rimuru, I see. Good work. Come back safe. Soai understood. And like that, the connection disappeared. Still, Soai is quite effective. He's a bit cautious, but that's not exactly a bad thing. Anyway, Soai only warned them vaguely about the betrayal. That's good. The chief definitely won't believe anything Soai has to say if he said that it was Gabble, the chief's own son, who would be staging a coup. Better to keep him wary from all sources. Anyway, a few days from now should be around the time, Raphael estimated both orc armies to meet back up at the marshlands. For now, the main orc army is trying to take out the lizard men while the orc detachment still hasn't joined up yet. But now that the lizard men are playing defensively, things should work out. Well, until Gabble comes along and fuck things up. But even so, Gabble would get exiled after this affair and get knocked down a peg. Plus, I have plans to kick him in the nuts still. Don't think I've given up. Mikoto, what are you doing? Rimuru, oh, Mikoto. Shizu, I'm here as well Naya. Rimuru and Shizu as well. I greet them while smiling. They both walk up from behind me while I was thinking to myself, with Mikoto carrying Shizu in her arms. They look so cute together. Rimuru, what's up? Mikoto, we got bored. A simple answer. Shizu nods along as well. It seems the voices stopped, for now. I just finished up everything I wanted to do, I don't really need anything done right now. Rimuru, then let's take a dip in the hot spring. Mikoto, oh, sounds good. Shizu, I don't like water though. Rimuru, oh come on, everyone likes hot springs. You should be fine. Mikoto, he's right you know. Come it, just try it once. After trying to convince her for a while, Shizu finally agreed. I had to use meat buns to bait her, but it should be fine. Rimuru, then, let's dash. Mikoto, you're not joining us though. God damn it. I continue to monitor the lizard men for a few days after that. The lizard man chief did his job by having the lizard men fight a defensive battle. They used the natural mazes of their caves to trap and ambush the orcs within the enclosed space. They made sure that no one died until I arrived with help. Everything was going well, until the Fire Nation had a cough. Until Gabble came along and figuratively fucked everyone in the asshole. He staged a coup, holding his father, the lizardmen chief, and everyone siding with the chief, including his sister, captive and took over the lizardmen armies. After that, he started fighting more offensively against the orc army and as a consequence, within a few hours, everything went to hell. Please do note that I do not hate Gabble. He's annoying, sure, especially as he is now. He's naive, foolish, and an all-around dumbass. But he calms down after this event, hopefully. No, he will calm down. Even so, I'm not going to say it's all water under the bridge, I'm still looking forward to the next showing of the Nutcracker movie, after all. This time, it will be starring Gabble and my foot. Anyway, rewinding time a bit, the next day after messing around with my weeb stick, testing out Yamato, we're getting ready to set off. We're going to be joining the lizard men and supporting them against the orc army. Coming with me is Ranga, all of the Kijin excluding Kurobi, the goblin riders and their wolves, and who would have guessed, Mikoto. Oh, and Shizu. But this is good though, Mikoto realizes that she can't be sheltered all her life, especially in this world, and isn't hiding from a massive war like this. I can't help but think positively about her. Benimaru, Hakuru, Soai and Cheyenne are expected, but Shuna is a bit of a surprise. In canon, she didn't join the expedition, after all. Why? Well, OG Rimuru thought it wasn't acceptable to bring a princess like her into a war like this. I say fuck that. Shuna can easily look after herself, even though she's the weakest of the Kijin, excluding Kurobi. After all, she and everyone else can easily solo an orc lord as they are right now. They're stronger than their canon counterparts, after all. Bonsai infinite magicules. Well, the goblin riders can't do that by themselves, but they make up for their individual weakness with their teamwork. And like this, we left the village and began our quick journey to the marshlands. I say quick because the blink wolves were able to hone their ground shrinking technique even more and they became very fast. But oopsie daisy me, I seem to have miscalculated. We're missing a wolf. Oh dear, Mikoto doesn't have anyone who she can ride on. Oh wait, I have a shape-shifting skill. Mikoto is looking at me with a blank face. Ahem. Anyway, I shape-shift into my Spatium Star wolf form and Mikoto ended up riding me with Shizu. Ranga was pretty depressed at this. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. Anyway, Mikoto is riding me right now. I don't care, after all, seeing Mikoto with an embarrassed expression on her face as she clings to my fur is making this all worth it. Furthermore, next time I would be the one riding her in bed, so... Spark. Nothing. I didn't think of anything bad. We continued like this for 3 days. Cheyenne and Shuna ended up rotating with Mikoto for a while because their stairs hurt, but in the end, Mikoto spent the most time with me. But while she wasn't sitting on me and was with Ranga. Mikoto, your stare hurts the most, you know. Anyway, we're almost at the marshlands and right now, we're resting and eating. I sent Soai to scout the area and it was around this time that the disaster with the lizard struck. Yes, that's right. A poisonous lizard fell onto my meat bun from a tree. What a catastrophe. I ended up locking the lizard in a box and forcing it to listen to Boku no Pico for eternity. Suffer in hell for defiling thy holy meat bun. Oh yeah, and Gabble also did his coup thing, but that's not important. Soai, Rimuru-sama. Soai contacted me through thought communication. Rimuru, what's up? Soai, I've come across a lizard man running away from a group of orcs. From my memories, this lizard man should be a close aide to the lizard man chief. Sauka. She isn't named yet, this is just her future name. 3. Rimuru, right. Don't make any movements for now, just monitor her. However, when it seems like she's about to die, save her and heal her using a full potion. After that, do what you will of the orcs. Soai, understood. Now, you may be wondering why I'm not having Soai save soon to be called Sauka immediately. That, my dudes, is because of one simple reason. Inhale. I ship Soai and Sauka. Imagine this. You're in trouble. Your father was captured and your entire race is in mortal danger and you alone have escaped with an important mission to warn your soon-to-be allies that your own people have already self-destructed. Suddenly, you realize you are getting chased by the very same orcs that are threatening your people. Not only that, but one of those orcs is an orc general, and you're getting pursued by around 50 more ordinary orc soldiers. You fight them, but you quickly lose hope and you're slowly dying. Then, all of a sudden, a Bishounen appears and RKOs the orc general out of nowhere. Finally, he gives you a miraculous, seemingly extremely expensive potion that heals all your injuries, not caring about the cost, and proceeds to defeat the rest of the orcs. Yeah. A beautiful plan if I do say so myself. The result? An absolute win. We quickly set off and meet back up with Soai standing in the middle of a massacre. All 50 orcs are dead and neatly beheaded while Sauka is sitting on her knees looking up at Soai with stars in her eyes. Mikoto instantly locks onto me and I start sweating. She knows I did something here. Scary intuition. Benimaru, what happened here? Rimuru, Oh, so I noticed some orcs so he took care of them. Cheyenne, But I wanted to do that too. Shuna, chuckle we'll get our turn later, Cheyenne. Hakuru, The Kijin start talking behind me while the goblin riders start poking at the dead orc corpses. Anyway, Sauka notices me and temporarily stops fanboying over Soai as she gets up, walks over to me, and kneels in front of me. Sauka, I am the daughter of the Lizardman Chief and I serve as the head of his royal guard. In advance of our alliance, my brother Gabble has overthrown the royal family and imprisoned the chief. I beg of you to save them. Even now she still asks for her brother to be saved. It seems she knows Gabble isn't evil, he's just dumb. Sauka seems like she's going to try and do everything she can to convince me to take action, but I already have plans to save them. Also, Cheyenne seems ready to show off my magnanimous heart by accepting either way. Rimuru, Soai. Soai, yes sir. Rimuru, take this lizard man and rescue the lizard man chief with her. Eliminate anyone in the way of our alliance. Soai, understood. Soai being Soai then proceeds to grab Sauka by the scruff of her neck and jump into the nearest shadow. Of course, Sauka doesn't mind the rough treatment as she continues to look at Soai with stars in her eyes. This shouldn't be an unhealthy relationship, right? Name, Rimuru. Race, origin slime. Protection, crest of space. Title, highest tier spirit, leader of the monsters. Ultimate skills, Ilya, Heaven's Feel, Raphael, Lord of Wisdom. Intrinsic skills, infinite regeneration, universal shapeshift, universal sense, multi-layer barrier, enhanced replication, universal thread. Unique skills, predator, creation, rune master. Extra skills, Lord's ambition, thought communication, control wind, spatial motion, dark flame, control particles. Tolerances, cancel pain, resist melee attack, cancel natural elements, cancel ailments, resist spiritual attack, resist holy attack. Equipment, Yamato.
If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.